On Sundays, I would sit between my mom's legs for two strands twist. We call them candicles. She would put the bubblers at the roots and the bows in the tips, and the jar of bows would sit on my laps. I got to choose. All the colors would go on Sunday, not just one or two colors like for church or school. When she was done, I would run down the road to my paternal grandmother's house, and as the wind went through my hair, the clackety clack clack of the bows hitting against each other brought some joy to my soul. Even when people tried to say I look like a Christmas tree, they could not steal my joy because one, Christmas trees are happy, magical, and glorious, and two, I knew my grandmother was waiting with great anticipation to see my hair. My Indian grandmother, with her waist-length bone straight hair, loved my Sunday hair. She loved my colorful bows. She would have me spinning around and she would say how pretty I was and how talented my mom was. I must have been 3 or 4 at the time, and those afternoons meant so much to me. Years later, my father looked at my chunky plaits and told me that I really was the one who had my great-grandma Nini's hair. And that must have been the nicest thing he said. Great-grandma Nini is my mom's grandma, and she died before I was born, and everybody absolutely adored her hair and said it was the thickest and the longest. All around the world, little black children are taught to hate their hair. It's too thick, it's too short, it's too coarse, it's just too much work. Schools and workplaces regulate what hairstyles you can wear. Here in St. Lucia, some schools force little boys to cut their hair flat. Some schools don't allow braids. Some schools don't allow puffs. Hair down styles like this, don't even think about it. Not allowed. They do this because as a community, we allow these institutions to continue to uphold colonial standards of beauty. I remember growing up, people would make comments about my hair being so thick, how much work it must be, how much trouble it must be. But my mom always said it wasn't a problem. Even when I would get that one strand in the back of my hair that was too tight, she would patiently find it and release the tightness. When I said hairstyles were too heavy, she would change it. Even when I walked around with my hair down, flipping my hair, pretending to be Diana Ross, with a dream that one day I would live somewhere where I could go to church and school with my hair down, because let me tell you, you couldn't do that in St. Lucia. My mom encouraged that dream. The little girl that I was would be happy to do that. Wash and goes, twist outs and braids out are a thing. She would be happy to know that people actually buy wigs that look like our hair. Little black children deserve to live in a world where our hair is celebrated instead of regulated out of existence. I didn't realize how much racism surrounded hair until I was in the military. The Coast Guard regulations specifically say that the bulk of your hair can't be more than 2 inches deep. My hair was natural at the time, and I was always worried I wouldn't be able to slick it down enough into my bun. Fortunately, they knew better than to talk to a black woman about her hair, but that's how they get you. The racism is systemic. No one has to say anything for you to feel the pressure to conform, and white people co-sign it sometimes without even realizing it, because racism is deeply ingrained in the fabric of society. I began to realize this even more when I relaxed my hair the summer before my sophomore year. I had been determined to keep my hair natural, but between swimming 3 days a week and the constant tension of pulling my hair back into the bun, my hair just wasn't going to make it. So the summer of 2004, my mom went ahead and put a relaxer in. When I got back to Connecticut that August, everyone complimented my hair. They would say things like, "Mo, your hair looks amazing. Oh my God, wow, Mo, love the new hair." These people had never complimented my hair before. In that moment, I realized that straightening my hair made me more acceptable to white Americans. They had been programmed by the system and society to praise straight hair. In their eyes, when I straightened my hair, I was accepting whiteness as the ideal. It didn't matter why I straightened my hair. It mattered what they saw when they looked at my hair. The thing about accepting whiteness as an ideal is that it doesn't actually protect you from discrimination, because even with straight hair, I was still a target. But to be fair, at the time I was wearing cornrows. One of the men sat across from me and asked if my hair was regulation. I said yes. He said, "Really?" I then repeated the regulation to him verbatim. I thought that was it. The following day, he came to me and let me know he looked up the regulation and that my hairstyle was within regulations, like I had said, because if it hadn't been, he would have written me up. I was shocked. He had a black wife. That was when I learned that having a black spouse does not mean that that person is an ally. Some of them have a black spouse because they cannot rid themselves of the generational curse of owning people. All around the world, I see people fighting for the acceptance of black hair in all its forms, from locks and braids to wigs and fros. I see people fighting to release us from the shackles of the colonial standards that was forced down the throats of our ancestors. When I walk down the road with my hair out, I get more compliments than people asking if I'm crazy. It's easy to get down when we see videos of the young man forced to shave his locks or forfeit his wrestling match, or when we hear stories of the girl who's been in detention for weeks because of her braids. It feels even worse when it happens to us. I remember the anger I felt when the security did not want to let me onto a resort to conduct a yoga class because my hair was down. I want you to know that we can use these feelings to power our fight to end discrimination. We are on the verge of systemic change. The Crown Act has passed Congress and is on the verge of becoming a law. If you live in the US, you should call your senator and ask them to pass the Crown Act so that it becomes a federal law. We will have to continue the fight after the Crown Act becomes a law because we will have to fight for them to enforce it. I hope that the Crown Act inspires racialized black people to break free of the colonial shackles that bind us, because I have a dream that one day our hair will no longer be used to deny black people access to education and employment.